Because even a leader at the very top can be scared to do something big, scared to do something new. Being in sales, you think about all the objections you're going to get, and then in advance, you think about how you're going to handle all of those objections. We do that in coaching too. So, okay, who's going to get angry with you? Who's going to say, that's not how we've done it before?
A lot of times what happens is people's personal values end up maybe not aligning with what the organization is asking, or aligning, but that doesn't then align with somebody else's.
To have gaps in communications, to be human, right? And yet they want to solve it with like a one-hit wonder. Like, I just want you to do a 2-hour workshop, and then I want you to cover these 35 things. And you're like, oh, okay.
Welcome to the Unconventional Leadership Podcast, where we help you unlock your potential as a leader. Hey, can I ask you a favor? Can you please hit subscribe or follow on any platform that you're listening or watching this episode? Our goal is to connect with you, to bring additional value to you, to bring additional topics to you, and we can do that more effectively if you hit subscribe or follow. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us for this week's episode of the Unconventional Leadership Podcast. Today, I have the distinct pleasure of being with not just one amazing guest, but 3 amazing guests. So all 3 of you are esteemed faculty on our team. You bring amazing experiences to the work that we're doing at the Talent Magnet Institute. And we've been doing this for quite a while. There's a lot going on. You have been on the podcast multiple times, all 3 of you. So what I'd love to talk about is doing a little bit of a recap of things that we've learned through those conversations, things that we're hearing with the organizations we're supporting, and really not just the organizations, but the humans we're supporting in those organizations. What are we learning? What are we hearing? What can we give the audience today to have them take some key takeaways back? And, and even some of our recent preparation for a great webinar that we recently led. What are we hearing from that? What topics came up during that webinar that you feel like, boy, that was a really great question. And I bet you the audience and the members of the Unconventional Leadership Podcast following would love to hear it. So Melanie Booher, Megan Leasher, Leighann Rechtin, thank you all 3 for being here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
For you, the audience, this is our first time having a conversation with 4 people. So bear with us. We hope we bring some good energy. And it's a little bit of a test here as we roll through season 3. So, all right, Melanie, what are you hearing and experiencing that you feel like the audience today should hear and learn from?
Yeah, even just as you said that, my mind kind of went in a couple directions. But most importantly, I'm hearing that people just really want to have more human moments, right? I think, coming out of all the things and all the things going on in the world today and society driven, there is so much stress, so much, all kinds of things, right? We hear wellness, we hear burnout, we hear, what I'm hearing from leaders is I'm trying to find a moment in time to invest in me because I know that's important, but I also know everyone's coming to me. I need to invest in everyone else. So how do I make that happen? And when we do those things, so it's not only have that personal moment, but what leaders do I want to guide me through this? One of the things I value about what we're doing with Talent Magnet, right, is that we now say employ loosely, but like we gather a group of collective leaders that really know their stuff. And so as we're talking with people, they're bringing their expertise to us, right? And they're saying, hey, I have all this different knowledge, and I want to help people. I love that we only really work with good people. We have that ability to be able to say, like, how do we all kind of come together? And the tribe kind of attracts itself, right?
Yeah, select the team.
Long-winded way of saying, I'm hearing, I need that moment. How do I invest in myself? And I think that's what the best leaders do, right? They invest in themselves, they invest in others. And definitely that's coming to the forefront.
Yeah, and those organizations that we partner with recognize. I was in a conversation earlier today with a group of CEOs, and one of them was like, well, let me frame up what I see you doing with the Talent Magnet Institute. And he was like, Mike, you all, this year's your 50th year for your search firm. You spent 50 years as a business helping teams, building teams, recognizing that adding the right people to a team, mission critical, but it's only chapter 1. Right? It might even be chapter 2 because you did all this planning and transition and succession planning to lead to the new hire. But what he loves about what we're doing is, and what he's seen happen with the clients we're serving is, you're working on effectiveness. You're bringing teams together. You're helping the teams who make the investment of bringing on the right leaders and building into those team members to create the best organization possible, not relying on a secret sauce of someone flying into the org chart, right? We are all locking arms with our clients, helping them grow and be more effective and learn themselves and learn others well, right? And that's basically what you're referencing.
For sure. I think in past times we heard people use the word, we're working through generational changes. Well, no one really says that anymore. I mean, we do. Everyone's pointing out a different generation as part of the problem, right? And so we've kind of rephrased that to say we're working through, what do we call it? Modern workplace challenges. And when we can say that, that's everybody, right? There's a lot less pointing the finger at, well, who are we referencing? Oh, it's everybody. And how do we build that cohesion? So we might place a new leader somewhere, and just because you're somewhere new, you have your old way of doing things, which got you where you were, but will get you where you need to go in the future, right? Yeah. So we love building into those leaders and saying, hey, is your new team efficient? Are you hitting on all cylinders? Where do you need help? What are your gaps? And then really just listening for, how do we problem solve? How do we help you be the best leader that you can be and let that shine, for your team?
Are you looking for a place that you can create the content that helps market your brand? Or are you somebody who just needs a space that they can record a podcast, record talking head social content? You want to create a webinar, a course, or other content like that? Take a look at the Cincinnati Podcast Studio. We're a space built just for creators like you. Our studio here in downtown Cincinnati, located right next to all the hot restaurants in OTR, is set and ready for you. We can have up to 4 people in our studio. You can record long form, short form content. It looks awesome. The lights change colors. I mean, even there, hi, in the background. What's up there, guys? We have all the technical amenities to try and help you succeed at creating high quality content. We work on everything from subscriptions to create your own show. We do day rentals so you can create massive volumes of content and we'll just hand you all the footage. And we can even do things like limited time series where you can come in, record a bunch of episodes at one go, and then have that ready for a show to market your brand or your business. So whether you're an entrepreneur, a brand, or an author who's looking to market themselves with high quality video content, check out our website at CincinnatiPodcastStudio.com and schedule a tour today.
So, Megan, you spend quite a bit of time with the work we're doing, coaching individuals, right? Working one-on-one, helping those teams that Melanie's referencing on an individual basis, and then hoping they take those skills and that information and bring it back to the team and play even better in the sandbox, right? What are things that you're focusing on because you're hearing it and you know it's important to help individuals show up better in the workplace?
Yeah, Melanie, as you were talking about the burnout and taking care of themselves, I'm seeing that a lot in my coaching as well. And there is so much elements I'm seeing of people being nervous and scared and afraid and lacking the confidence to make a decision or communicate a decision that inherently they know is the right thing to do. Maybe it's giving tough feedback to someone. Maybe it's announcing a change in a strategic direction. Maybe it's letting go of a toxic team member. There's all kinds of critical decisions that leaders need to make, and they are scary. And sometimes a coach can be that cheerleader that is the confidence booster that says, with everything you've told me, it feels like you're really clear that this is the right next step. So let's talk about how we get you to a place to feel confident to make it happen. Yeah. And that's what a lot of those conversations can be like, because even a leader at the very top can be scared to do something big, scared to do something new. And so quite often in my coaching, I'm helping people, with the decisions they pretty much inherently already know where they should go. They have the knowledge, the expertise, they've analyzed the situation, they've checked in with their gut, what's the right thing, kind of all those pieces have gelled together. And then they're scared to take that step to make it come to life. So if I get to be somebody's cheerleader, if I get to be somebody's advocate, if I can just sit there and say, you can totally do this, let's talk about how it feels good, how it feels right, how it feels possible for you to make that happen.
Do you get pushback? Do you still see the individual fearing like, I don't know if I can, or I'm afraid to, or, either it's personal confidence or how everyone else is going to view them, maybe even when they show up differently, how everyone wishes they would show up, but that's not their natural tendency. So there's all this fear and doubt and mental stuff that clogs them up.
Yeah, we talk through that. So it's like being in sales. You think about all the objections you're going to get, and then in advance you think about how you're going to handle all of those objections. We do that in coaching too. So okay, who's going to get angry with you? Who's going to say that's not how we've done it before, or who do you are? Who are you? What do you think you're doing? All of those kind of negative reactions. Let's take each one at a time. Who's going to be upset with you? Who's going to be confused by you? Who's going to challenge you? Who's going to grumble and start a rumor mill? Let's talk through all of those things you think that are going to happen.
Yeah.
And let's talk through how you would manage each and every one of those. And what does that feel like? Do I feel like I can conquer all of those moments that are going to pop up? And that helps build that sort of army effect of confidence to help them follow through, kind of thinking through all of those different and possibly negative scenarios.
Yeah. So Leighann, you spend quite a bit of time working with, let's call it the HR leader and possibly the team leader, to design solutions to work with their teams or work with a team of people. A lot of your work is with teams, helping them navigate through that. How do you see those insecurities show up when you're working with a team? How do you see confidence show up when you're working with teams?
Yeah. Well, in a variety of ways. I think there's a lot of connection between what Melanie said and what Megan said about values, right? A lot of times what happens is people's personal values end up maybe not aligning with what the organization is asking, or aligning, but that doesn't then align with somebody else's. So I think when working with teams, it goes back to what Melanie referenced about generations. It's not really generational. It's about the values that we bring. And that's something you and I talked about in the last podcast that I was on with you, was how do we align? How do we get what we need every day based on our values? Because that's going to be different for each person.
Right.
And I think being able to do that leads into that confidence to say, these are my boundaries. These are what I'm willing to do and what I'm not willing to do when it comes to how that whole team works together. And the leader needs to know. And the leader needs to be clear about communicating their values.
Yeah. Do you find yourself ever or often interacting with a leader who thinks they know what the team is going through, but there might be a little disconnect or maybe a little enlightenment that happens in the sessions?
Oh, yes. I think that's very common. I think a lot of times just having somebody else come in, and I'll reference Megan's coaching, just having an outside perspective. People are not as great as they think they are at understanding themselves. I think there are people who do some pretty deep work when it comes to being self-aware, and then there are others who don't. Maybe they're scared of asking for feedback, or they don't solicit it. That's what a good 360 will help with, right? Is being able to get some feedback from a variety of people. Because what we know about who we are and our identity is that we're not just one thing. We're multifaceted from each person, and their perception of us is authentic in the way that they see us, right? Like I can't say, if you told me, Leighann, this is how I see you, and I was like, well, Mike, you're wrong, right? I mean, that's not right, because you're entitled to the way that you see me. Yeah. But that might be really different from how Megan has seen me or Melanie has seen me, because I might show up a little differently based on each of those situations. So what happens is you're this faceted individual. We all are. And so the truth is everyone's perspective. And that's not easy for everybody to understand, or that willingness to be able to get that. So when you're asking, like, if a leader sees the team the way that others might see the team, they have to know how everybody on the team feels.
Yeah. So another thing that I know we spend a lot of time on is communications. Like, if there's one major category that all teams can improve on, I won't say all have challenges with, but a lot do. Yep. But everyone can improve how we're communicating, how we're interacting, how we're engaging with one another, how we're listening, how we're seeking to understand. And, that's part of getting to know your team, right? What do you three believe are some of the key things that we need to, as individuals, continue to work on? Whether that's grab a book, whether that's engage with ChatGPT, whether that's have conversations, whether that's pull up multiple episodes of the Unconventional Leadership Podcast. What are some of those key themes that you keep just coming back to?
Well, I think one for me is debriefing with your team. We're not having a team meeting. We're not talking about projects. We're not talking about day-to-day stuff. We're having like a once a month or something where we're sitting down and saying, hey, how are we working well together? How are we not working so well together? Where have we made some missteps? Where did we drop the ball and not tell each other something? But to even have sort of that open, transparent debrief kind of session where once in a while we just check in and say, how is it going? And, obviously that kind of space, we want to have the trust and the safety that we can bring things up in those kind of moments, but to build that habit and that culture within a team where somebody could be like, hey, you forgot to send me something, copy me on a note or send me something, and it cost me 4 days on a client project, and we can't undo it, but can we talk about how we make sure that doesn't happen again? Have those kind of open and honest moments where we're not accusing, but we're redirecting and we're growing and getting better from whatever moment we're at in the present. So I would say that trust and that open space is very important in making sure that time is just used for that.
Yeah.
There's another piece to this, which is that, leaders come to us and they say, I really want to help my team communicate better. There's gaps. And we're like, to have gaps in communication is to be human, right? And yet they want to solve it with like a one-hit wonder. Like, I just want you to do a 2-hour workshop and then I want you to cover these 35 things. And you're like, oh, okay. There's a phrase for that. It was like the 10 pounds. We won't go there. Trying to fit too much into one topic, right? Yeah. So that idea of this isn't something we can do overnight. It has to be continual. It needs to be part of a bigger strategy. So communication comes up oftentimes as like, hey, I need help with this. Change management is another big topic we hear a lot, right? And to go back to the thing you said, I think culture, you've both mentioned, we've all mentioned it, right? Culture and communication go hand in hand so closely that whether you're building the trust or, how we do things or their values, to really set aside some time and say, like, what does it mean for us to communicate well? Because if I want to just shoot off a text message and you need to meet with me in person and you'd prefer an email, and, communication is elusive, especially in today's world and environment. Yeah. So to have those ongoing conversations, like, this is how I like it best. I want us to build trust. I want to, it's part of the culture. And how do we make sure we're doing that?
Yeah. And I have the advantage of having taught in the discipline of communication. And when I say advantage, it's actually kind of a disadvantage because it's the one thing that you can never be perfect at. You are not going to get to a place where you're like, well, I am a perfect communicator now. So I've reached the pinnacle and there's nothing else, right? Like Melanie said, you continuously have to get better and it is going to change. And so what happens is oftentimes communication is blamed. It's the channel, but it's not actually even communication that might be at fault. And so I think what happens more often in communication when leaders are saying we have a communication issue, it's that there's this sense of this is right and this is how I want it to be, and it's not that way. So we have a communication issue. Maybe not, right? Maybe it's approaching everything with curiosity instead, because that happens a lot in conflict and in these crucial conversations where people are thinking like, I've got the right answer and I just need to convince everybody else that I'm right. Well, how about there isn't necessarily a right answer and we approach it with curiosity instead? And then that way we're actually having a dialogue. And then what if we can all learn something in that conversation?
Absolutely. Yeah. The three of you shared your thoughts, I also keep coming back to, and when you said all of us can improve, when you were defining, Melanie, the individual saying, I need my team to do this, it's like usually the person bringing it up can benefit from it too. Another thing that we've heard recently from a client who said, the thing that our team is most benefiting from, and we're working with, let's say 35 people in their organization and have over the last 4.5 years, that we don't just hit on a topic once, we hit it from different angles because it's different perspectives, right? One facilitator, the world of leadership development, part of what's broken is you hear from one person and you heard from that one person 3.5 years ago on that one topic and we never talked about it again, right? Yeah. Versus taking a approach where there's a strategy and a design and there's multiple angles and touch points, and it's organized in a way, specifically designed in a way that every session has some tentacle and connection into the previous, and that there's a true strategy involved. And that's this game changer that we're hitting on here, because so often they say, oh, we talked about change management for 40 minutes 3.5 years ago before we actually acquired 2 companies. We haven't talked about it. We heard in the past year, I've heard an organization say, we've acquired 7 organizations and we haven't talked about change management or cultural integration as an organization. I know they're talking about it, but we haven't heard about it. And we're the ones actually trying. Now we're told, oh, go work together. Yeah. How's this going to work out? Right? Okay. So you may be thinking, how do I do this? How do I lead unconventionally? How do I lead my team in a way that's unconventional? How do I build a strategy that's unconventional to elevate my organization and those around me? I want to encourage you to reach out to the link through the link in the description. I want to encourage you to reach out through the link in the description and post that question. I want to learn how to lead more unconventionally. I want to help my team think unconventionally, and let's start the conversation. So thank you for joining us, and let's get back to the episode.
We recently had a client that, they'd used strength finders in the past. We're like, that's awesome. We love that. And so we were talking about it, and then they went down the path of values, and so we started having those conversations. And this is part of what unconventional leadership is, right? Mm-hmm. We bring together our areas of expertise. And so Leighann and I we're putting our heads together, and we're like, okay, we want to, how can we lead a session where we talk about their strengths? So things from the past that they've done, we bring it back up, and we say, okay, and we want to have this conversation about how do those play into your values? Maybe we're going to use our cards that are in our toolbox, right? Mm-hmm. How can we play into this and say, again, this is the 1 + 1 = many, and the bringing together many minds to kind of solve a problem in a new way, or to say, hey, you've said these things in the past. We've got this new idea. This is how we're doing this. And we're making it fun and engaging, right? We're not doing the same. Adults learn in many different ways. We make it fun. That's important, right? We want them to learn through repetition, but opening back to the communication channels. So many times we sit down with adults, adult learners especially, and they're having these conversations about, let's pick on the values thing. And we say, well, how do you define integrity? And they're sitting at a table of people who they would all say have integrity, but they've never defined it together, right? And they're like, oh, well, this is what I mean when I say that. Mm-hmm. An easier one to wrap your mind around sometimes is like customer service, right? When we say, well, what is great customer service in our company? And then they can kind of give examples. So all the stuff that we're doing really is a big behavior change model, helping humans see that, hey, when we do these things incrementally better over time, we are part of the rising tides raise all ships, or however we want to say it. Yeah. And it gets us really excited. I know for all of us, right? Jazzed in the work that we get to do.
Yeah. The revisiting, the building upon, I remember an experience I was involved with Cards for Culture, where one individual was pretty adamant, we know our values. Mm-hmm. They're on the website. Mm-hmm. They're on every PowerPoint we put out internally. We know our values. Why are we doing this? Mm. And yet there were people in that room who are newer to the organization. And we went through an experience, and there was disagreement that, well, we are that because we say we are. No, you are that if you behave, you are, right? And communicate, you are. And some really interesting tensions come up when you revisit topics and think about it. Think about all the topics that we have been interacting with organizations, and that you've maybe experienced that you're like, we only talked about it once. Well, once doesn't get it done, right? And again, I don't say that we constantly repeat topics, but we build upon, we come back to previous sessions and say, hey, when we were together 3 months ago, I know this was brought up. Have you all revisited that as an organization yet? No, we haven't at all. Well, why don't we talk about that? Because that seems like something we believe could unlock your potential, right? So it's important to be strategic. We can help teams be really strategic. Let's also talk about where we're going, some of the future things and innovative things that we've been talking about, from AI to building technologies that follow on with learning and development and various things. What are the three of you excited about with the future?
I'm excited about a partnership that we have with Camp Joy. and a client where we're going to bring a multitude of various elements together into this big, exciting project. And it's going to be an incredible day and a half for over 100 people, right, Melanie? Yeah, like 130 people. And they're going to get to experience how, like, the topics and then practicing them and having that engagement. They're probably going to experience a little dissonance, which is where people learn and grow. A little bit of discomfort, but not a lot. And it's challenge by choice. And so I'm looking forward to that partnership, along with just continuing to grow and working with new clients and being able to meet them where they are. That's the exciting thing for me with the work that Talent Magnet does, is looking at, okay, where is the client? What do they need? And we can really customize it and make it something that works for them. It's not just pulling something off the shelf.
Yeah. Just to add to that, because it gets me excited, of our goal is not to come in, educate, and move on. Our goal is to help you achieve excellence as a team, as humans, as interactions. Like, we want to be celebrated by the clients that are the hero, that we were a part of the tool and resource that helped them accomplish things they never thought possible. We never thought we would get here, or we were stuck for years in this one rut. And now look at what's happened because of the way we've invested into our actual team. Because we say no strategy ever got accomplished without people, right? Let's invest heavily into the people side and let's win on that. Megan, Melanie, what are you two most excited about?
Well, I want to carry on to the Camp Joy comment, because I'm excited about the communities we're building. So if you think about experiences like Camp Joy or masterminds, or even, webinars, learning opportunities, happy hours, different types of things that we host. We're bringing people together that maybe would not have been brought together otherwise. So networking's been a hot topic today. And, as we think about creating those shared moments to bring people together, where they might find someone that becomes their next business partner or spouse or friend, or whatever the case may be. I just love that we're creating those moments and creating those spaces for leaders.
That's a great call out.
I think we might have a matchmaking thing. We might become matchmakers. Based on our networking conversation, and like you said, spouse. We might. That might be a new branch of Talent Magnet.
I don't know. Whole different level. Whole different level of definition of Talent Magnet.
We're innovating here, Mike. We're innovating.
I love it.
TMI. Melanie, what's on your mind?
That's amazing. I do like how we're listening to trends and data, right? So, I've been in the world of human resources for many years, and I find it really just compelling that we're listening to what people are asking for and then delivering on that. And I know that's what you might think you do in the world of HR anyway, but that's not always the case, right? So, we're seeing some things around AI and some new partnerships that are coming up around that. So how do we deliver? Because you hear all this, AI is going to take people's jobs. Well, we don't think that's necessarily the case. It's the people who don't use AI, that have no idea and aren't keeping up with all the things, right, that will get left behind. So how do we make it better for everyone? So it's neat to see that, listen to the data and trends, and then respond accordingly, right? And how do we come up with, for me, we talk a lot about experiences, right? How do we make experiential learning? And I think that's neat. So again, whether it's Camp Joy or some new things happening with the chamber, I'm excited just to see where those go and how we can keep building into people and making sure that it's built on what people are asking for, right? We're not just making this up and saying, I think people should do this. It's like, well, people are asking for this. Let's deliver and make things better.
Yeah. As we think about unconventional leadership, which is what this is all about, there's excitement building. We have universities being introduced to us around this topic. We've got organizations that we're partnering with to level up the experiential learnings, because we believe unconventional leadership is experiential. It's different. It's unique. And it's going where we all wish we could go, and we just haven't been daring enough to do it, right? And that's part of where we're going. So what I'd like to do is ask each one of you, what does unconventional leadership mean to you? and I won't hold you directly accountable to a statement you may have made on your podcast, because it's okay to continue to build and it's iterative, right? But Melanie, what does unconventional leadership mean to you?
For me, it's this idea that, we are continually listening for what people need, and we're building into humans. We're doing it in a different way. We're not afraid to disrupt, which I love. We're doing it where we can listen to what are the needs, play on our experts' knowledge, and build something greater than we've ever had before. And we're also not afraid to say to some people, you're not the right fit for us. I'm not here to convince you that you need what we're offering, right? You either get it or you don't. And again, in today's world, it's probably only 50% of you. Sorry if we're, I hate to say that too, right? But we're not here to convince you. You get it and you realize your company's built on people, and you will go, what's the phrase, right? You want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And that's what we're here to do. So that's my unconventional leadership ideas.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Leighann?
Well, I think authenticity and vulnerability. Because when I think about what is missing from leadership, I think those two things, when you have those, you're able to do exactly what Melanie just described. And you're able to take things to a new level. You're able to have psychological safety where people feel like they can take risks. And if they make a mistake, that's okay. And the only way you're going to be able to continue to grow and change, which is, like you mentioned earlier, just a gigantic topic right now for everyone, is change management. The only way you're going to be able to do that and survive is by different iterations. So you really have to be able to be vulnerable.
Yeah, that's awesome. Megan?
I would say being fearless and saying and doing the things that need to be done, even the tough things, when it needs to happen. So giving that tough feedback. Maybe it's saying, you're not a fit for our organization. There's a lot of tough moments as a leader, and saying tough things is part of the job, and not shying away from that.
That's awesome. Well, thank the three of you for being here. Thank you for all you do. It's just incredible, the stuff we're doing together and the stuff we're about to do together, and where we're going to be tomorrow and where we're going to be 3, 5, 15 years from now. So I want to thank all of you for joining us for this week's episode of the Unconventional Leadership Podcast. I want to thank the Cincinnati Podcast Studio for their creative genius and for encouraging us to step outside our comfort zone and be here with 4 people, not just 2 or 3. So thank you, Josh and Brian, for that. And we look forward to connecting with you on the next episode.